Mother decided to move out on her own and get married and find her own place to live and shit like that. I'm like, okay, bye, ma. I'ma miss you. I'ma miss you. Come visit, mama. She was like, Nene, you going with me. You don't know how to take care of no baby. I can't go with you. Grandma, did you know this? Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellums. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for this Hilda hat. Now, I'm not sure if we have the black with the white flower left, but I know we have a few of the black cap with the black flowers. So go on over there to uptopbeauty.com and check it out. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, dun, dun, dun. Let's talk about Bettye LaVette, A Woman Like Me, by guess what? The David Ritz. We love all his books. Sister was an angel, and her husband was a low-down, dirty dog. He gave her nothing but grief. We all celebrated when Sister left him and joined us in Detroit. The problem, though, was that her next husband was worse. He was violent, not only with Sister, but with me and Mama as well. What? How your son-in-law is hovering over top of you, threatening you? Huh? How that happen, girl? You better bash that nigga in his head and think about heaven later. He was violent, not only with Sister, but with me and Mama as well. Y'all should have jumped him. Y'all should have did stuff to him. Real talk. Like, y'all should have probably did something spectacular to him. And I'm going to leave it right there because I don't want to give none of you ladies incentive to, kill a motherfucker. Sister was with this evil motherfucker, a degenerate gambler, cheater, and wife beater for 20 years before someone did us the favor of murdering him. You could say that Sister had issues with men, and yet this same woman was the most wonderful human being I have ever encountered. She was the perfect daughter and sister. Her kindness knew no boundaries. Like Mama and Daddy, Sister liked to drink. She also loved to read, even though she read junk. She followed the soaps and, I believe, viewed life through the lenses of those melodramatic stories. Looking back, Sister's life became one of those soap stories. And come to think of it, so did mine. Some performers who start out young complain about their lost childhoods. Well, you're looking at someone who never wanted a childhood. I never wanted to do things that kids were supposed to do. I related to the world of adults. I wanted to do what adults did. I wanted to drink and dance and smoke. When I learned about sex, I wanted to do that too. I saw childhood as a silly preliminary to the real stuff, the fun stuff. I wanted out of childhood as soon as humanly possible. I also wanted out of school the minute I got in. Mama sent me to St. Agnes Catholic School because she thought it was a good idea for me to mix in with white kids. Girl, let me tell you what this damn girl did. This is why I know Bettye LaVette is on a different level. She thinks differently. I thought it was a good idea to take some of the corn liquor my folks were selling at home and sell small sips at school. Mother Ernesta, who took me on as her special project, didn't agree. She saw me as a bright girl in need of direction. All I needed, though, was a way to avoid Mother Ernesta because Mother Ernesta was on her ass. Okay, you about to destroy your life early. You in here selling sips of liquors to the kids? To the white kids, you can't do that, niggas. If I had to be in school, I wanted to go to the public school where my friends were carrying on. Public school had places for lazy students like me to hide. But mama, a wine-loving Catholic, saw religious school as a way to gain greater social mobility. The mobility that interested me the most was the kind that would get me out of the house. By age 14, I thought I was ready to move out. This was the late 50s when the music that spoke to me loudest was Etta James, Dance With Me Henry, and Good Rockin' Daddy. I remember reading about Bettye LaVette in the Etta James book we did. I think David Ritz did that book too. Ooh, that book was something extraordinary. I got a feeling this book is going to be something extraordinary also. I was eager to find the right rockin' daddy. I don't know why, but my folks put me in a bedroom in our house with 3 steps under the window. It was as though those outside steps had been built to make it easy for me to climb out whenever I wanted, or for someone to climb in. In 1958, a 14-year-old boy climbed in for the sole purpose of deflowering me. I was 12. I didn't like him for his looks. I liked him because he was bad. He was manic and violent, and he was considered the biggest bully in our North End neighborhood. No one liked him, and the cops were always on his case. When he threatened to beat me up if I didn't give him sex, he didn't know that he didn't have to bother with the beating up part. I wanted to have sex. I was curious. Wait a minute, this little boy threatened to beat you up because you wouldn't fuck him? Okay, let me move forward, because I had no one to compare him to, I couldn't rank the bully's technique. He didn't last long, and neither did the pain. I was relieved. I viewed my virginity as a burden finally lifted. The fact that my first lover, using the words lightly, was a notorious bad boy was an omen of things to come. He was a dangerous character who didn't survive long on the streets of Detroit. He came to a violent end. So the first boy that I decided to give my body to, he was a good guy. He was a very good guy. It was just his chubby was just too chubby. It was the chubbiest. And it should not have been something that I experienced at the tender age, I think about 15 or 16, something like that, of 16. That was something that a grown-ass woman should have been experiencing, not me. He was kind to me. He was my first drug dealer boyfriend. Mick was like, Nate, that one. He like you. He like you. Child, he was so in his feelings when I just got over it. He ran back and told Mick I was messing with this dude. Ooh, because I thought me and him was over. And I didn't want to experience that pain no more in my life. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that much. I just didn't want to deal with that much. Maybe the next guy I got it on with would have been, an easier situation. And it was. Okay. But anyway, shouldn't no child of 16 be experiencing situations of pain like that? Make it so bad, just like her. That's why I love reading these books, because you find yourself when you see yourself. You do not know yourself until you see yourself. Sometimes you be delusional about who you are. And then when you see that person over there, you be like, why are they doing that dumb shit? That's the dumbest shit. And then you be like, wait a minute. I do that dumb shit. Really and truly just wanted to get the experience out of the way. That's it. I thought it was just a hindrance that I just needed to overcome. And was it me, y'all, ladies down and below? Was it me? But something changed in me. It was like once I laid down and experienced the death of my, Pastanka, it was like a maturity, like just washed over me that I didn't have the day before. My initial goal was simple. I wanted someone who could get me out of my house and into a mink coat. If sex was part of that, fine. I met Alfonso Mathis, called Pinky. When I was 13, I went after him because he had a job at a dairy loading milk trucks, making $18.75 a week. He was also a slick dancer. The boy had Jackie Wilson moves. He could drift like the drifters on There Goes My Baby. I also liked that his parents paid him no mind because he was one of 18 kids. They were busy running after his siblings. That made him independent, and independence was my goal. While I was working at getting Pinky, tragedy struck. My daddy, only 46, died of a stroke. I was devastated. Suddenly, everything changed. I need to get a little psychological here and say that once Daddy was gone, I went hunting for him the rest of my life. He was everything to me. I had challenges with Mama. The older she got, the bigger the challenges became. Mama and I loved each other dearly, but the woman got on my nerves. Daddy never did. I adored him. As far as he was concerned, I could do no wrong. I never felt his judgment or his scorn. So his absence punched a gaping hole in my soul. And y'all, that is the same fucking way I feel about my grandmothers. Because you know, my mama was the baby. So I was practically raised by my grandmother. My mother decided to move out on her own and get married and find her own place to live and shit like that. I'm like, okay, bye, Ma. Bye. I'ma miss you. I'ma miss you. Come visit, Mama. Come visit. She was like, Nene, you going with me. You don't know how to take care of no baby. I can't go with you. Grandma, did you know this? Do you know this? She was like, child, that's your mother. But I don't want to go with her, Mama. We don't know her. We don't trust this lady. We don't know her. Oh, girl, I was hurt. When my mother got herself together and moved out. Oh, girl, I was hurt. Child, everything changed. Daddy saw me as someone special and never tired of telling me so. Who's going to tell me that now? It was even more urgent now that I went over Pinky. He was cool. He was older. In the years to come, with one great exception, they'd all be older. Pinky also had enough quarters to feed the jukebox down at Mr. Jerry's, our teen hangout. We danced to Bo Diddley and Fats Domino. We'd watch American Bandstand on TV, and I learned to love Bobby Darin. I'd sit and listen to Bobby Blue Bland, who brought me to tears. I didn't know any other kids my age who were crying to Bobby Blue Bland. I was proud to have won over Pinky. And at 14, when I learned I was pregnant, pride turned to happiness and happiness to fear. I was happy because I figured being pregnant meant Pinky would be mine and love me forever. I was scared because I knew Mama would kill me. She tried. When I told her, she grabbed my hair, put her foot on my neck, and attempted to separate my head from the rest of my body. She flipped all the way out. Y'all, okay, look. So you know I had a young mother. She had me at 15. And baby, it's like my mama didn't say nothing else to me but don't get pregnant. Oh, wait, hold on. She told me, go to school and don't get pregnant. I'm like, Mama, it's so much more in the world than go to school and don't get pregnant. A lot of the things that I know about life skills and business, most of that came from me just watching her, not from her sitting me down and telling, or my grandmother's sitting me down and telling me. But I didn't get a lot of life skills from my mother, because all she ever told me was go to school and don't get pregnant. Mama, what about the herpes? You ain't going to tell me about the clapper? You ain't going to tell me watch out for pimps because they will woo you, girl, and before you know it, you're sleeping with him, then you're sleeping with 10 other dudes you don't know? My mama ain't tell me none of that. Along the way, I done had pimps to come after me and, girl, old porn directors. You hear me? This white dude had approached me one time and was like, hey, you real sexy. I was like, okay, thank you, but I'm on my way to the orthodontist to get these braces checked out. He was like, have you ever thought about doing modeling? I said, I've been asked before, but I'm not interested in it. Because I was thinking about modeling, okay, because I was tall and I had a long ass neck. Now I'm tall, got a long ass hot dog neck or turkey neck. I don't care, it is what it is. I didn't pick up weight again. He was like, no, I ain't talking about that kind of modeling. Have you ever thought about doing porn? I said, what? Porn? If you was a nigga, I would say nigga please. But white man, get the fuck away from me. Pinky's reaction was panic. What the hell are we supposed to do, he asked. You tell me, I said. I don't know. This hasn't ever happened to me before. It didn't happen to you. It didn't happen to me. I'm the one having the baby. I'm going to ask my mama what to do, he said. What's your mama going to tell you? She already has 18 kids of her own. I was right. His mama didn't care, but his daddy did. His daddy told him to marry the girl. In some sense, it was mission accomplished. I found a way out of my house and out of school. Pinky and I got a little place of our own right down the street from mama and sister who promised to pitch in. We ran over to Toledo, tied the knot before a justice of the peace, and just like that, I was a happily married woman, at least for a minute. The birth of Terry was a beautiful thing. And look, if I'm not saying it right, please forgive me, Miss Bettye LaVette, because, I just about every book we read, the star of the book basically contacts me. But Miss Bettye LaVette or Miss Terry LaVette, I don't mean no harm in not pronouncing your name right. It's spelled Terrye. Terry. If it's something else, y'all gonna correct me down there in the comments. The birth of Terry was a beautiful thing. Everyone loved my infant daughter, saw her as a blessing, embraced her, and nurtured her with all their might. In short order, though, I saw that I was not cut out for motherhood. While sister and mama cared for Terry, I decided I wanted to rejoin my friends, but I was not going back to St. Agnes and Mother Ernesta. She ain't the first to do it, and she won't be the last to do it. Who have the baby and realize, this ain't for me. Like, I just have a dog, Lulu. And every 3 days, I be like, I don't know if I should be a dog parent. This is a little hard today. So if I'm like that with Lulu, I imagine how a person would be with a child. But at least she is woman enough to admit it. Some of you bitches just go around here faking all day and fucking up. Northern High was different. Northern was where the cool gals and cute guys congregated. To get back into the swing of things, I decided to enroll at Northern. I'd never been to a public school, but was certain I'd be happy there. I was confident I'd do better at my studies. When I left Catholic school and went to public school, the only thing I saw was the array of boys. And I kind of stopped going to school to learn. I now was going there just to be cute, for the boys to pay attention to me. So it was about 15, 16 years old. Life changed for me. That public school, man, it'll do something to you. My confidence was misplaced. I didn't do better because of something I hadn't expected, something that was taking over my life. That something was, is, and will always be music. Seems like my marriage was over before it began. 6 months, 7 months max. Pinky wasn't much of a husband, and I wasn't much of a wife. But the boy did give me something I hadn't had before, an organism. For that, I say thank you, Mr. Pinky. Child, the first time I had my organism, I thought I was peeing. I thought I was having a stroke. When it happened, I thought I was having a stroke. See, that's the same thing I said. Strokes were on my mind because of Daddy's death. That wasn't what was on my mind. I have control over my body in that moment. The organism was so powerful that I was convinced I was dying. Okay, my heart beat like crazy as my limbs went limp. Because I was preoccupied with my health, I actually missed the pleasure part. No, that didn't happen to me. It was scary, but I got it. It took me a while to realize that an organism was the goal of sex. By then, though, Pinky was long gone. I heard some of the older kids talk about the Black Bottom, the entertainment area of colored Detroit, centered on Hastings Street. We've heard a lot about that street through reading several Motown books. They talked about the Flame, where big-time acts like Della Reese and B.B. King performed. They also talked about the slick operators and fast women who frequented the area. That talk fascinated me. So did the older guys who hung outside Northern High accosting the sexier girls. Yeah, that shit don't change. I don't care what year it is. 1922, 1972, 1982, 1992, 2022. Them old ass men gonna ride past the high school trying to get them a piece. You know how? That's how I got one of my boyfriends. He saw me. He went after me. Gotcha, bitch. They were black bottom pimps looking to recruit.